just as Rashida should not use my religion to imply I cannot perform my job fairly as attorney. When did she say that? How did she say that? I think she was pretty clear in what she said. All right, so one thing that I've been preaching on this channel for almost a year now is we know drama, conflict, and division, it sells. I mean, if you're on YouTube or Twitch, or if you're one of these big mainstream media platforms, you kind of know conflict, that sells. When you have some dirt on somebody, or if you have some sort of drama or feud between two people, especially in political circles, that's gonna get you views. And the media, they know they need these views to stay alive, essentially, because we have social media platforms, we have YouTube, and you know, people like myself who's constantly doing the news, and we're not bought and sold. You know what I'm saying? Or at least some of us, like a lot of Tim Pool. Hey, that's all I'm gonna say. And the big corporate media platforms, they know they need people to watch. So what are they gonna do? They're going to say and do whatever they have to, even if it's disingenuous, even if it's a lie, to keep you engaged. And one, that's why it's important that you need to read beyond the headlines. You need to read beyond just one or two anchors on CNN or Fox News. You need to, you know, take a little time. I know everyone's busy, but you need to take a little time, read a little articles, or read from the person or whatever the situation is before you make your decision. Because if you know these platforms want to lie to you to keep you engaged, then I mean, I guess it's your fault if you're just mixed up in the misinformation. So let's go ahead and see what CNN has decided to do with some weird news. It's weird.
Now, at how key members of the media have participated in a smear campaign against the only Palestinian American in Congress, a vocal critic of Israel, Democratic Congressmember Rashida Tlaib. She recently criticized Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel, who is Jewish, over charges Nessel filed against 11 mostly students and alumni who were involved in a pro-Palestine encampment at the University of Michigan. The Detroit Metro Times reported the comments by Tlaib from an exclusive interview Friday, September 13th, saying Nessel's move was, quote, going to set a precedent, and it's unfortunate that a Democrat made that move. We've had the right to dissent, the right to protest. We've done it for climate, the immigrant rights movement, for Black lives, and even around issues of injustice among water shutoffs. But it seems that the Attorney General decided if the issue was Palestine, she was going to treat it differently. And that alone speaks volumes about possible biases within the agency she runs.
All right. So based off that, and, you know, I'm not just revealed every single drama by every single person. I got a job, a 9-hour, 10-hour job that I work. I'm a husband. I'm a dad. So I'm doing things, you know. But reading this statement here, I would have never known who is she talking about? Dana Nessel. I would have never known she was Jewish. Just based off this statement, I would have just assumed that it's you know, she's a head of this university, and she's being pressured to enact on some protesters. That's all I'm getting from here. Right there. Not here, but right there. So as we listen, you tell me where people start to be disingenuous just for the clicks.
Tlaib told the Detroit Metro Times. Well, the Michigan District Attorney General The Michigan Attorney General, Dana Nessel, responded in a post on X that also referred to a recent Detroit News cartoon that was widely condemned as racist and Islamophobic for showing Congressmember Tlaib next to an exploding pager, implying she was part of Hezbollah. Nessel wrote, quote, "Rashida's religion should not be used in a cartoon to imply that she's a terrorist. It's Islamophobic and wrong, just as Rashida should not use my religion to imply I cannot perform my job fairly as Attorney General. It's anti-Semitic and wrong."
What? Okay. Just as Rashida should not use my religion to imply I cannot perform my job fairly as attorney. When did she say that? How did she say that? I think she was pretty clear in what she said. She said, and let's see if she gets to.
After this, the Metro Times published a fact check Monday, noting Tlaib, quote, never once mentioned Nessel's religion or Judaism, even though the newspaper had pointed out in its own reporting that Nessel is Jewish. Meanwhile, the smear campaign was picked up over the weekend by CNN's Jake Tapper. This is Tapper interviewing the Michigan governor.
All right, so before she goes to Tapper, and she also states in this interview Rashida was in, she said, I think people at the University of Michigan put pressure on her, speaking about Dana, to do this, and she fell for it. That's pretty simple. Like setting up the scenario here. Her colleagues, her bosses, whoever pressured her to these protesters, these Palestinian protesters at this university to do something about it. You know, because they were breaking laws. They were instructed to leave and they didn't want to leave. All right. They weren't doing nothing crazy. They weren't killing people. They weren't destroying everything. They just didn't leave. So once again, where does any hint of a religion or whose religion comes into play? And like I told you, when I first read this, I didn't know the lady was Jewish. That's how blinded I was. Like, just reading this is like, oh, is this just going to be like, you know, some sort of like, hey, someone got pressured and that's going to be the central focus of this conversation. But it quickly took a weird left turn and it could have ended there. It could have been like, hey, you know, Dana, she was kind of in her feelings and she kind of just said that out of emotion. But now CNN wants to come in and use this to further instigate, I guess you could say, just for clicks.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer Sunday on CNN's State of the Union.
Do you think Attorney General Nessel is not doing her job? Because Congresswoman Tlaib is suggesting that she shouldn't be prosecuting these individuals that Nessel says broke the law, and that she's only doing it because she's Jewish and the protesters are not. That's quite an accusation. Do you think it's true?
Like I said, Jake, I'm not going to get in the middle of this.
Jake, Tapper, Tipper, it don't matter. You got on this expensive suit and tie for what? To sit here and try to play me? Come, man, we have to do better. That was a low blow, right? And you know it. Just the way that rolled off his tongue, he knew he shouldn't have been said it, but he just needed to say it. And you know damn well that's not what Rashida said. Even
as Governor Whitmer refused to take the bait, CNN correspondent Dana Bash also accused Congressmember Rashida Tlaib of anti-Semitism. For more, we're joined by two guests. In Washington, D.C., Prem Tucker is with us, political correspondent, columnist for Zeteo News, whose recent piece has headlined "An Anatomy of a Smear Campaign Against Rashida Tlaib." And in Detroit, we're joined by Steve Nievling, investigative reporter at Detroit Metro Times, who wrote the story this week, headline "Fact Check: Tlaib did not say Nessel charged pro-Palestinian protesters because she's Jewish." We welcome you both to Democracy Now! Steve Nievling, let's begin with you, since that's where it started. Talk about your initial interview with Rashida Tlaib and then how it was characterized and the fact check you've tried to do since then.
Well, yeah, I wanted to talk to Rashida Tlaib as the only Palestinian American in Congress, and I wanted to find out what she thought of Dana Nessel's decision to arrest or to charge these 11 protesters because it was so unusual. And we talked for about 20 minutes in a phone interview, and it was very clear to me during our discussion that she was talking about, when she was talking about a bias in the Attorney General's office, she was talking about an anti-Palestinian bias. What she pointed out was something that's very common across many institutions in America, many of which aren't led by Jewish people. So she wasn't ever making this sort of issue of what Dana Nessel's religion was. She was just saying that there's this anti-Palestinian bias, and pointed out that in the 6 years that Dana Nessel has been Attorney General, she has never once charged a protester for anything. And I've been to dozens of protests in the last 6 years. A lot of them had civil disobedience that was a lot more severe than what we saw at the University of Michigan. So it was very bizarre, and I wanted to find out what Rashida Tlaib thought about that. And we had the interview, and I thought it went well. I wrote the story, and then the next thing we know, it ends up getting misinterpreted, and lies are peddled, and it gets out of control.
Well, talk about how that happened.
All right, so and like always, if you guys want to see that entire interview, I mean the person who actually interviewed Rashida, you think he would, if he had some sort of inkling, some sort of feeling that she was trying to hint that Miss Diane, what's her name, Dana, if she, because she's Jewish, she can't perform her job, why wouldn't Rashida just say that? And if that's what she really felt, I'm pretty sure she doesn't have a history of like holding her tongue or not saying what she wants. Why would she just not say that? And in the article, because I mean, you got to actually read it. She said, we've had the right to dissent, the right to protest. She said, we've done it for climate, the immigration right movement, Black lives, and even around issues of injustice amongst water shutoffs. But it seems that the Attorney General decided if the issue was Palestine, and she was going to treat it differently, and that alone speaks volumes about possible bias within the agency within the agency she runs. Where do you get she's going after her religion? Once again, this stuff just baffles me. It's like it's possible to have a real conversation about something, but it gets swept away easily when people invoke race, when people invoke religion, and now we're sidetracked. And like I said, this could be a decent conversation about why somebody like Dana would be pressured to treat this protest differently from anything else. That's a good conversation. But now everything is getting swept over because now people are saying, you know, the only Palestinian lawmaker is now attacking the attorney general because she's Jewish. Now the conversation is just watered down. It's not worth talking about, and it's pointless, you know, because now feelings are just invoked, and that's it. That's all you're gonna get from that conversation. So CNN is a trash platform, just like Fox News. They will tell you what they want you to hear so you can continue to watch. That's it. If people were being honest, talking about politics would not be profitable. That's simple. You know, but once again, if you think I'm wrong, if you think CNN is the beacon of truth, and you know, just reading that, you could get that from this statement that she can't do her job because she's Jewish. I don't know. Am I missing something? Let me know in the comments down below. And like always, Let's have that conversation.